Okay, now we're cooking with gas. Little update to the text input. We can do that, we could already do that, but now we can do this. We can also do home to send it to the beginning of the text and end to send it to the end of the text. We can select the next text box, and again we have control on the arrow keys, left key, right key, home, end. I think that's pretty impressive. I actually quite like that. It's taken quite a bit of work to get that to do that, but that now makes that, you know, a pretty useful little input box. Couple more bits I want to do to it later. I want to be able to highlight a word and just press the delete key and delete the word, and a few other bits that you would have in a normal text box. You would be able to go into here and press the delete key to remove the NPUT letters, pulling them back towards the cursor. But I think that's pretty, and it's pretty accurate. It works pretty accurate. Took a little bit of time to get the cursor in the right place. I want to make the cursor flash as well, as it's not doing anything like in a normal text box would. So anyhow, all the code for this is up on GitHub already. There's not a lot on here. We've got some globals here to set our IDs, etc., and the active buffer and those bits. And then down at 157 we had to add the input char to get each individual letter. That's done with this piece of code here, and then we've added so as we can get the keyboard input, so for the left key, the right key, the home and the end. And like I say, eventually I want to add delete and a few other bits to this. I've removed this from the main form, so this is now in the main header file. And then the only other thing in here we do is 476. I had the sense today to number them so as it didn't spend so long looking for the stuff. In new frame we had to clear the input char each frame, and that just tidies that up. In here, which is the important bit, no changes there, but then here in the if clicked we get the active text box, the active buffer and the carriage return index, or I'm not sure what I've done it like that, but that's pretty much what I think that's all about. So you're moving the cursor to whichever index it is. This stays the same pretty much. These numbers here alter where the text appears in the box, and I did have to spend a little bit of time jiggling this to get the text dead center of the box. And then basically we handle the actual text input here. And like I say, all this code's up on GitHub, so you can peruse through it if you want to, if it's of any interest. And then in main we simply have to add, especially if we click the right form, we just need to add these two to get our inputs back. And I'm fairly sure we'll only need these two for all of the inputs, so the DragFloats and everything like that will all come from these calls. We might have to add a mouse call for color picking and stuff like that, and then it just makes it a simple for doing the these have got some buffers set up for so they start with text in them. They could start empty, and then it's simply a one-line call to get the text box. With its input, you could set the size. I think eventually it might be a case that the size is set with the length of the text, although it might be better to have it. No, I don't know about that yet. I have no idea what I'm talking about there. Which is nothing new. Anyhow, and it all works nicely. It works really, really nicely actually. I've been testing it for ages, and it all runs through doing what it's supposed to do, and I am over the moon with it. Anyhow, thanks for watching if you did.